Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to episode 104 of Bell to Bell with Bobby Blaze. I am your host, Professor Jeremy Vilmur, a man who likes inconsistent numbering of episode order. And joining us now, Arn Anderson's favorite enhancement talent, Bobby Blaze.
Waka, 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 waka. Did I miss an episode there or something, or did I just do it out of sequence? Did I say it was 102 and it was 103, or?
I don't know. I can't keep track anymore.
The reason I said it, something funny happened. You ever had one of them punching the balloon with the rubber band on it? You punch it.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
As a kid.
Yeah, absolutely.
Man, I bought one of those a couple of weeks ago. I bought two of them. It was only $1, man. And my granddaughter was coming over, and man, I punched him, and it was sounding like it was going flocka, 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 flocka. And I started thinking of Waka Flocka, and this chick I'd seen on another program that stood up and started wandering around going flocka, flocka. You know, and it was just something stupid, man. Sometimes you got to find entertainment for yourself, you know, as well with the young child, you know.
Oh yeah, yeah.
And I spent $1. And I swear, it was the best damn dollar I spent because we played with those things. I kept telling her, she kept throwing it to the roof. It's going to hit the ceiling and popped it. One of them finally did after about an hour. And then she took the other one home, and she said it popped a couple of days later by itself. But I swear it's a good $1 investment, man.
Well, you get a full day's entertainment out of $1. You've done good.
Oh, I did, man. I did good. She has other stuff here that she loves to play with, but I swear that took up probably the first hour and a half. Just, you know, walking around the house doing it. It was hilarious.
Yeah.
And that noise it was making, it was cracking me up, you know, the way it was making that noise. So, anyway.
Yeah. My grandson is going through a filmmaking period right now.
Oh, that's interesting.
I'm trying to find some software that he can do special effects on a Android tablet.
Yeah.
Because he wants to do Star Wars movies, which of course you do at that age, you know. The problem that I'm having with him right now is he's discovered a thing called the Wilhelm scream, which is public domain scream sound used throughout movies and everything, especially made famous in Star Wars and geek culture. But he started doing this because he's got tics. He might be autistic. We're not 100% sure. But every periodically he just lets this scream out, and it's fucking irritating. And so that's what we're going through with him right now.
Yeah, I think she I texted her on Thursday, or Wednesday of this week, and had her mom, and I said, just tell her Flocka Waka. And her mom was like, what's that? And I just text back and said, just tell her, she'll start cracking up. So that evening when she come to pick her up, and I said, what did you say when you asked her about that? She said, well, I woke her up and said, you know, hey, it's yours and Pops' day today. And she goes, and then Pops told me to say Flocka Waka, and she goes, just started giggling, going, yeah, I remember that. So, but when she left here that second time, that's all she was saying. So they may have heard that all day Friday because they don't have school and Fridays here for Head Start.
Yeah,
just 4 days a week. So she might have drove everyone crazy and. With that sound, I don't know. I don't know. Oh. So what's been going on? I think tomorrow, I know you don't tune in and listen to the weather, but by God, I'll tell you what. Yesterday and today's 45, down in the lows 20s, 23 last night, 23 today. But starting tomorrow, it looks like it's going to be almost spring weather for the next week. So I'm excited about that. Might actually get outside here and walk or do something.
We have been swinging from like 40 to just about 70 degrees.
Nice.
So you wake up in the morning, it's still cold, you grab a jacket, you go to work, and then in the middle of the day, you're fucking hot, you know.
Yeah. Okay. I can dig that though.
Yeah, you know that's
freezing rain and ice and winds.
It's better than half the country being buried under snow.
Yeah.
And then so last week I get a message from Sean, one of our on the scene reporters down there in Mississippi, who says that everything was taken down from the NWA page on YouTube.
Mm-hmm.
And so now I go and start watching the tweets, and you know every theory you can imagine is in there. You know they're closing down. No, they're coming back. No, Vince McMahon bought them. No, on and on and on and on and on. And then last week a commercial hits. The NWA is coming back.
Yes.
Now,
I like that.
Yeah, me too. I don't know, besides Nick Aldis and Thunder Rosa, I don't know what talent they still have, but I'm kind of excited to see.
Yep.
They got a pay-per-view coming up on March 21st. I am happy they're back. I mean, I wish the show was still free, but you know what? They gotta make money somehow.
Yeah. And now they're doing if I understood what you told me correctly off the air, and correct me if I'm wrong, are they doing a pay-per-view and then also some tapings after that? Is that correct?
That's what I am guessing based off of just kind of gleaning information or possibly making shit up. I'm not sure where that information came from anymore, but yeah, that was the impression I had for some reason.
Yeah, so you said that was Sunday. I was questioning whether it was a Thursday. My motivation for that was I think the way they'd done it before, they went down and did like all day Friday and Saturday TV tapings for 2 days for those 8 weeks they'd put up. And I was thinking, well, I wonder if they'll do a Friday, Saturday again and then have a pay-per-view on that Sunday evening, or if they'll do a taping Saturday and Sunday, then do the pay-per-view that evening. You know what I'm saying? Or if they'll hold them back, do the pay-per-view on Sunday and tape on Monday and Tuesday. Since there are not going to be any fans, I would imagine, just my thought, that they could actually, tape, on a Monday or Tuesday logically as they could a Friday and Saturday, due to the fact you're not trying to, get fans in the building per se.
Right.
I don't know. But I hope they get back out there and go on, man, because we had a lot of our listeners that really dug that show. And several of us had several people that we were really following their career on that show.
Yeah.
Found several of them that we really started enjoying. Some of them you'd already turned me on to prior to them getting to the end of, starting the NWA one through that Pro Wrestling Hollywood, I think it was, you turned me on to.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool stuff, man. Pretty cool stuff.
There's a lot of talented guys out there who, for several years were just under being discovered because where do you go work? And before, Bobby, do you remember the world before 2 years ago? There was no other big brand of wrestling. You did know nobody gave a shit about the NWA. AEW wasn't a thing yet. It wasn't even a t-shirt company yet. ROH you'd watch here and there, but somehow it'd shit the bed about every 6 weeks and you'd lose interest. And hopefully with the NWA coming back, it'll bring back all that excitement we were having 14 months ago.
Yeah. And I don't know if they're all necessarily fans of our program, but I know AEW has a shitload of fans, and people still follow WWF, obviously, or WWE, So that's the thing. There's enough wrestling that's out there that you can find something you like, I just, during this pandemic, I tried to watch a couple, you and I both did, without the fans there, and it just, to me, I just couldn't dig it, Oh,
it just lets the air out.
Yeah, but so I don't know what this pay-per-view is going to be like, and the way they've done their TV tapings, where it was such a limited, smaller crowd anyway. Excuse me, I don't know how that impacts their tapings for the next 8 weeks or whatever once they start doing those without fans there. Then I guess this is just me. Some of these fucking states, I guess, a couple of these governors are just going to say, forget the face mandate, and we're opening back up at a fucking 100%. I don't know what the logic is behind that. I don't think there is any logic behind it, but someone might get the bright idea in the wrestling business, say, fuck, let's go run a show in this state. Balls out,
Yeah.
I don't know. I think Texas is one of them opening, maybe Mississippi. I don't know. I'm just saying, you just get on the road and they might do it, man.
I
don't know. It's just my. I'm not trying to be political, not trying to be funny or nothing. I'm just thinking if a couple of these states open back up at 100%, which I think is too soon and crazy, but if they do it, I think it's one of those things. If you build it, they'll come. I think if you say we're having a show in Austin or fucking
Dallas,
Tupelo, Mississippi, Dallas, wherever, I think people would fucking, there's gonna be people out there going to them. I don't know.
I would think so. I mean, hopefully whoever's running the show is being careful. I mean, just because the state says you don't need to wear a mask anymore, if you're uncomfortable leaving without one, wear a fucking mask. I mean,
No, I know where I stand.
Yeah.
That's why I think it's kind of silly. I'm gonna continue wearing my mask. I'm gonna continue social distance. I'm gonna continue to limit my even going out of the house unless I have to. I'm just saying it wouldn't surprise me if someone didn't do that though.
Yeah.
Well, that's just my.
So my mom was on my ass about flying out of state a couple weeks ago. Oh, you're going to be exposed.
Yeah, you and that silver scorpion took off on my ass.
Well,
bastard.
yeah, there was some things we had to take care of.
Okay.
And when the scorpion plane lands at the airport and calls for you, you go.
Okay, I got you.
But my mom was riding my ass about just like how unsafe it was, blah blah blah. And I was like, Mom, the only time I've been exposed to that disease is in my apartment from my kid, and my grandkids. That is the only time there's been a scare with me, being around it. So if I'm not safe in here, I fuck it, I should be able to take a plane. I'm no more at risk there than I am here. That was kind of my takeaway from it.
Ah, man. Well, I'm glad you're back safe. Hell, let's do a program.
That sounds like a brilliant fucking idea.
We was talking about the NWA. I want to talk about something real quickly.
Mm-hmm.
I think you and I spoke on the phone about this the other evening. We'll just go over this very briefly. Josephus, the question mark, passed away. And I know that's old news to a lot of people. I didn't bring it up on the podcast last week because I don't think it had happened. Or maybe it did happen. I just let it slip that I didn't put it in there.
I think it had just happened.
I think so too, but I know you and I spoke about it. We didn't have it in our notes, but I just wanted to make mention of that because we were talking about the NWA, and I think he was only in his 40s, man.
No, he was a young guy, yeah.
Yeah, so just kind of my condolences to that, and I know he was really busting his butt there in the NWA, and anyway, I just want to bring up because we had another death in this past week. I don't think the guy had been sick. He's a little bit older, of course. I think he was 79 or 80 years old. I forgot what I wrote down, honestly, his age. But Jim Crockett Jr. passed away. God bless it.
You're right.
Stuff here. Yeah, I was about to drop my phone. I thought I had written his age down. It must have been on another piece of notebook paper. But, we lost a good one there because, Jim Crockett, they just they ran more than pro wrestling. They ran the Globetrotters, the Crockett, JCP ran gospel shows, rock show, everything.
Oh, yeah.
I had two texts I wanted to read, and then you and I talk about just a little bit more if you'd like to. But my good friend Mike Mooneyham, he put the passing of Jim Crockett Jr. truly marks the end of an era, especially here in the Carolinas, where the family patriarch, Big Jim Crockett Sr., laid the foundation for JCP more than 85 years ago. Decades later, eldest son Jimmy would take it to new levels on a national stage. And then Tony Schiavone, and I've heard him tell this story before about his how he got started there in baseball and to wrestling. But he says, today my heart breaks with the passing of Jim Crockett. Everything I have become professionally because of him and his family. His sister Frances hired me to do baseball in 1982. A year later, Jimmy decided to give me a shot at wrestling. He made me what I am today. And I thought that was pretty cool because I've heard Tony talk about how, when he first got called in to do the baseball gig, he was like really nervous. And I think he had to go meet Flair. And I can't remember who he met before he met Flair, but as soon as he met him, they started treating him like, he had to stay outside the doors of this and that, but everyone treated him with so much respect, and he just kind of felt like he fit in. And of course, the more better he got, the more they opened up to him. So, Jimmy Crockett Jr. passed away. So,
yeah, probably one of the most consequential promoters in pro wrestling history. But like you said, JCP and their family promoted so much more than just pro wrestling. I'm going to kind of bring this up in context of something because a guy I work with who knows a little bit about pro wrestling, but I wouldn't say he's like a history buff when it comes to it. But he goes, it was really weird. Like I had just seen on Twitter that Jim Crockett Jr. passed away, and he kind of knows about him from me. And he goes, but then as I'm looking at that story, I look up at the TV, and J.J. Dillon, Tully Blanchard, and was it FTR are coming coming to the ring wearing, Tully's got the U.S. title on. They've got the old NWA tag titles on. He goes, it was cool. It was just kind of a wild thing to see because, right when I'm reading about how Jim Crockett's passed away, that's on the screen.
Yeah. Was that a tribute, you think?
Well, they film those ahead of time, don't they?
Okay. Yeah, well, I think so too. I just didn't know if it was time to do an homage or something to it, so I didn't know. I know this was filmed and I was trending. I was trending the other day, Jeremy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Big Show fucking comes out on that AEW and he's wearing a shirt, no more BS. Now I want to know why he's trying to fucking put me down like a no more BS. But then I started realizing I go by BBS, so I thought, fuck. They're going to put my initials on a shirt. I'm going to start getting some residuals from the shirt. And then I wrote, oh, man, this girl a long time ago, she used to hashtag me BBS. And I was like, well, if they'd have put no more BBS, and I'd have been disappointed. But I can't complain too bad. So I guess that's some more big news there, too. Big Show jumping over because there's no more Big Show. Paul White had jumped over to AEW, I guess they got a few more acquisitions coming.
Well, that was one that I couldn't believe because he's been with the WWF for 23 years?
Yeah, 22, 23 years they said.
Yeah. I'm not really watching AEW all that close. I kind of go back and check up on what's going on.
Yeah. But
I was shocked
money,
by that
man,
one.
I guess.
Well, yeah.
Echoes of that, who knows? I think he does movies. He's done TV shows. He's very talented. I think his ring work's going to be not as much, but the announcing part and the publicity part and all the PR work and stuff, I think it's great, but I don't know why, he's parted ways with Vince. And of course, like I said, probably just the color of money, more money offered, greener pastures, if you will.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, what else is going on, man? I know what's coming up next on the notes.
So
bring it up.
Obviously before a show goes up, I listen to it and, kind of balance the sound and upload it. And I was kind of into your show until I realized the guy I would have gone with as number one didn't get number one. Bobby, why do you hate Mike Awesome?
I don't. Here's the thing, folks. If you listen, I think I messed that one up. First of all, I put him in a hard bracket up there. Crush, Brian Adams. So. I've watched 2 nights in a row this week. I've listened to some Mike Awesome interviews. I think they were from like 98, if I'm not mistaken. And I tell you, man, I missed the boat on that one. I tell you, I went for longevity. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
That's why I went for Ricky, because he's still carrying the mullet to this day, still wearing it, party in the front or business in the front, party in the back, Yep. I tried to be, I put my picture up there. My brother sent me with my mullet. Try to be goofy with the hinting thing coming at the Freebird rule. But really, when I looked at it, I went back and I looked up some pictures and stuff, and I went by memory on a couple. And I thought the Scott Hall and the 1, 2, 3 kid, I thought that was a good little matchup to start it, I thought, putting like George South and Barry Horvitz on a list was good. I really thought through a lot of it. But what I didn't really think through was, because I was trying not to go for like work rate. If it was, I put Bob Eaton against Ricky Morton right away. I thought that was, classic. But again, had I actually done it and looked at the mullets of that time, the 10 or 12, 15 year time period I was looking at, man, I'll say it, Mike Awesome should have won. He had the best fucking mullet out there. That was a pretty big head to have that big mullet on.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty sure I missed the boat on that one. And I had a couple people before the podcast came out said, if Mike Awesome is not on this list, so people are like ahead of the game. They put a couple. I got a couple if Ricky Morton isn't on this list, no gimmick guy. no gimmick guy out there. He sent me one. I think his was if Ricky Morton and Mike Awesome are on this list, and he put like ... and I was like, man, well, you fucking read my notes or something. And I think Johnny Candido did the same thing. I could be wrong. Chris's younger brother, he said something like, you got to have Mike Awesome on there, you know, something like that. So some people were ahead of the game. On Twitter at Bobby Blaze 744, find Jeremy at the Geekish Cast, or the joint account at Bell to Bell Blaze. But yeah, and please, folks, I'm not so vain to think I'm gonna get it right all the time. Hit us up, man. Let us know. I think we got a couple of show ideas already come through. Jeremy's passed those along to me. Hit us up on there and let us know. Like, Bobby, I like someone did put they liked that and injected a Freebird rule and had several other things. So I got some good comments from it, but also I got a couple about, you know, where's Mike Awesome? So my apologies. I missed it. And maybe we'll have another tournament and we'll work Mike in with the mullet towards the finish on something. We'll see.
Yeah.
So that's my bad, Jeremy.
Well, you know, Mike Awesome's one of those guys that I think that, you know, myself included, we don't give him enough credit. And I thought the mullet was the perfect time for Mike Awesome's praises to really be sung. And, you know. Well,
yeah.
I did want to do this real quick here. Okay. When I was doing a little bit of studying on the airplane flight home last week, I read a couple things that I found amusing about the mullet. The term was first used in 1994 by the Beastie Boys.
Okay.
That's the first time the term mullet was used to refer to that haircut. But here are other names that the mullet goes by. The ape drape, the beaver paddle, the bi-level, the Camaro cut, business in front, party in back, the Canadian passport, the coupe longueville, El Camino, hockey hair, Kentucky waterfall, the Missouri compromise, the mud flap, the neck warmer, the ranchero, the schlonk, that's a combination of short and long, achy breaky bad mistakey, the soccer rocker, the squirrel pelt, the Tennessee top hat, and the yep nope. Those are all.
That's pretty damn good, man. Pretty good, man.
Yeah, I some of those I loved. I was like, I have to read this. I have to read this.
Good, man.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's get into the brass tacks, so to speak. We're going to be talking about moves that used to be finishers in pro wrestling that are now just willy-nilly.
Someone out there running high spots.
Yeah. You know,
kicking out of shit they shouldn't be kicking out of, doing stuff they shouldn't be doing.
Yeah.
That's the evolution of wrestling, though, as athletes. I will say that, you know, it's like my grandfather used to say, if everyone wanted the same things in life, they'd all be chasing your grandmother around the clothesline out back, you know? Mm-hmm. So,
did your grandma use a clothesline?
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Oh,
and the boys used to chase around the yard.
Well, wait, no, hold on. Did she use a clothesline or a lariat?
No, clothesline. Okay. Two different things. We'll get into that.
Okay.
Yeah, no. Little Grand Gertrude out there, it wouldn't take her much if you gave her a damn clothesline or a lariat. But it's all right. She's a nurse. She'd have taken care of it. I'll tell you that.
Fix it up.
Yeah. But okay, so yeah, things change. And so some of these holds, for example, we're going to start with body slam. Mm-hmm. And it's just, I've got some notes here from Jeremy. He done good on notes. I just touched something up on this one. I just remember in training, and you know, Malenko we were doing the ropes and doing this thing. Everyone wants to be slammed, you know. Of course, I had been by that point, but not at his school, you know, per se. But when he was showing a couple people to body slam, I remember him saying a couple of times he can recall when that used to be a finish, you know.
Yeah.
And of course, that was 1989. So I mean, hell, that's 30 years, you know, 32 years ago or whatever it was. You know, him saying that then, talking about 30 years prior to that. So, you know, 60 damn years ago now, you know, when that was a finish. But we just kind of started there as a starting point for the body slam. Now, here's a couple that, for my honorable mention, Jeremy, the back body drop. Now, I don't know that I saw any matches where a guy took a high back body drop and took a pin. But I know when I first started watching wrestling, there was a lot of close pins or covers from that. So judging by that, I knew at one point it had to be a pinning combination. You give the guy a high back drop, spin around, drop down on 1, 2, 3. So I would say that probably went out in around the probably mid 60s. I might say early, but probably mid 60s to the late 60s, where people started kicking out of the high backdrop. My other one here was a full Nelson. It used to be a submission hold, and I don't know if a lot of guys even put it on people anymore. If they do, they're just working in and out of something, which is fine. But up until you had both Hercules Hernandez and
Billy Jack Haynes.
Billy Jack Haynes both used it as a finish. That was pretty cool. Once they got you in it, you didn't get out of it. And then this other one I want to bring up real quick was the pile driver. Now, I obviously don't watch a lot of wrestling, but from my understanding, it has been barred. I don't think you can do it in WWE. We talked about it being barred in a kayfabe way. That always made it fun.
Yeah.
When a referee couldn't see you do it, for the next 6 months, no one could do this hold, or you're going to be this move, or you're going to be suspended without pay for 6 months. And then the heel would always get the referee distracted some way, and then he would, Now that's the thing. To my knowledge, I'm sure other people have kicked out of it, but there was only one time when someone was allowed to kick out of Jerry Lawler's, okay? And it was in Memphis, and that was with Road Warrior Hawk rather. Man, he done that big. They had that big show, AWA, Road Warriors in there. Lawler power drives them, and the place is already going nuts, And Lawler pops up like he always did, and then, of course, Hawk just pops right back up out of the mat, and Lawler turns around, and it's just a huge pop. That just shows how over the Road Warriors were right there in the ring with Lawler, So that was okay because it was part of the angle, and he was told to do so, and they were making money, obviously, But the point being, before going into these things, there are reasons you can kick out of it where it's not used as a finish for certain reasons, referees distractions, getting an angle over or whatever. But for the most part, all these moves that we're going to talk about, and I'm going to let Jeremy start it here with the drop kick, but they shouldn't have been kicked out of. But like I said, the evolution of wrestling and better athletes, bigger, faster, stronger. Mm-hmm. A lot of people just use these as spots now. And a lot of people, what's worse than that, I think, though, Jeremy, is that they no-sell them. That's the bigger problem I have. I have a bigger problem with the no-sell than I do the fact that they're using them as a spot, So anyway, go ahead. Start us off here.
Well, so the next one we're going to bring up is the drop kick. Now there's little contention here. The two people it can be traced back to is number one, Jumping Joe Savoldi, and the other one is Abe Coleman, also known as the Hebrew Hercules or the Jewish Cougar. And I've seen some Jewish Cougars in my time. But so they both are the earliest people that can be found using a drop kick. I believe that Abe Coleman's was a drop kick like to the hip area. Mm-hmm. And then Jumping Joe Savoldi, his was like a standing drop kick.
Wow.
And I think Savoldi, the reason they call it a drop kick is, if I remember right, one of the two was a football player, and it was a drop kick it comes out of football, so they were trying to kind of glom the terms on there. Yeah. But, you got to remember, back in these days, wrestling was fucking 3-hour-long matches where you're trying to get a hold of somebody's wrist or ankle the whole time.
Yeah, and on the mat for the most part.
Yeah.
Not a lot of, might get to the ropes here or there. Not a lot of standing, only to stand up and try to take someone down in a way, but to jump up and drop kick them, that had to be, you know, pretty spectacular to see. Maybe even someone thinking, hey, that guy's cheating, he's kicking, you know. So it depends. Who was someone that you have any favorites that done a drop kick? I've got a couple in mind.
Well, you know, Sting's standing drop kick was fucking awesome, because for a big guy like that to get as high as he did with that kick,
yeah,
I was a big fan of him when he pulled that move off.
Cool. I tell you who was huge and had these big thighs, big power lifter out of the University of Tennessee. Might have heard of him, Mike Furness. That motherfucker had a drop kick. He could get up, man. He wrestled a lot over in Japan. He did some stuff with WWF there early on. Man, he had them big thighs. He could do that drop kick, and he'd flip over or land on his feet. He could just, it was incredible, man, for a man of that size to do it. Another one was a young Coco Beware. You know? He could do it really good. Really good drop kick back in the day. I'm probably leaving someone off, but those are the two that come to mind that I thought could give a, you know, really fabulous drop kick. And again, Stings he had that good standing one. I like that a lot too. That was a pretty good one. Bam Bam Bigelow did a standing one.
Yeah, he did. I forgot about that. Yeah,
just was coming to mind as I was talking about it, and that was pretty impressive. So
yeah,
play.
You know, and there's more out there, I'm sure, if we were to really sit and think about it. It's just, when I think, like, whose drop kick did I like best, the one that pops into my head immediately is Sting's standing drop kick.
Right, I got you.
Yeah. Just because, I mean, when he was in his prime, the dude was as big as a fucking, you know, Volkswagen or something, and he'd jump up in the air as high as he did and pull off that kick. It was pretty impressive.
Yeah, I got you.
Yeah.
All right. Well, let's go to this next one. I'll introduce it. The super kick. How about that, man?
Yeah.
I used to love the super kick. I could do it pretty good at one time. Nowhere in the level of at least a couple of these people we may mention, but probably above the level of a couple others. I'll say that. But so yeah, the super kick, man. Did you like that move?
I was a huge Chris Adams fan, even when he was a heel. Yeah. I loved the super kick as a finish because, and I didn't understand the storytelling back then, but a good villain should have a finish that can pop out of nowhere and end a match that you don't see it coming. Now here's a little interesting thing about the super kick, Bobby. When Chris Adams first used a move called the super kick, it was an enziguri. He later switched to a jumping sidekick, or, you know, whatever. Yeah, whatever you want to call that. But he started with it as an enziguri.
To the back of the head?
To the back of the head, yeah.
Yeah, I got you.
Yeah. Okay. Now, of course, Chris Adams is credited as creating the move, and I think that's correct. I don't think there's any question about that. Shawn Michaels, I would say, probably popularized the move more than anybody. Mm-hmm. And the move was ruined by the Young Bucks.
Yeah, I see that. I took Chris Adams 2 or 3 times. I liked the way he did it. It looked legit. It felt legit. You know, if you fed right into it the right way. Mm-hmm. Definitely popularized by Shawn Michaels, just to the amount of, you know, the showstopper there, the amount of people, eyeballs on him, you know, as far as TV, pay-per-view, and arenas. And then, like you said, ruined by the Young Bucks, because after one with Adams, you know, you're pretty much done. I think maybe I'm just saying this. Maybe Gordy got up once and he had to take a second one.
Garvin I know did because Tex,
someone did.
Yeah, Tex threw that in my face one time.
Okay.
Yeah, I think.
Go ahead.
I was going to say, I think there's a video where I'm saying that nobody ever got up from a Chris Adams super kick. And it shows Garvin get up from the Chris Adams super kick. But,
okay. I knew something was out there, because we discussed that before. Yeah. And that's okay, because it's probably one of those deals, the bigger deal, like kicking out of the power driver, you know, no selling it like Hawk did. Same thing. So with Michaels, I don't know. He used it as a finish, you know, the Sweet Chin Music, and they give him all these different names and that. You know, pretty much that, guess what? If he gives it to you, you're going to sell it, and more likely it's going to be the finish. And that's a good thing right there.
Well, okay? Yeah, you should. And, you know, Bobby, since you bring that up, you wrestled Chris Adams a couple times. When that kick lands, is it under the jaw? Where's that? How do you take that shot?
timing, I'm patting myself on the back. I always had really good timing. My timing, just from playing other sports, and also balance and timing was taught at Malenko's. You can't teach those things, but I had it so good that it was easy to improve upon my timing. So when I were getting up off something, I knew almost precisely how to put my hand up, and it was coming right to my left jaw.
Okay.
If I turned my head up facing him, it'd have been right underneath my chin or in my mouth. But the way I fed right to where his leg was going to be at the fully extended mark. And I knew also if I didn't put my hand up, he was going to kick me and kick me hard, and it would be my fault for not protecting myself.
Yeah.
Because we had that agreement. If I was just out there and he didn't say anything and kicked me, I'd probably be a little bit hot about it. You know what I'm saying? But having an agreement that, my finish, I'm coming to this side. So I knew automatically it's coming from my left side. I just knew where to feed to and time it to where when he got that foot up fully extended, he has no more thrust to kick me other than what he's going to kick me. It was a solid, but not didn't jar my teeth or anything. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like I said, my hand protection was up near my left jaw line and my ear right there, and worked on it from there. I was going to bet Shawn Michaels. I don't know if anyone's going to call us out. Did anyone kick out of his after the first one, just like we just talked about? I don't know.
Well, and see, he stacked that move too. He would get a super kick and then an elbow drop and then a pin. If I remember right.
A combination, 2 or 3, like Bret Hart, the same thing. Get that 2 or 3 moves for to finish the pin. That's what I always liked, and that's what I was thinking. He got a couple things in there, set you up for the super kick, boom, then went to the top for the final. So,
well, and as much as I shit on him, he really made a production out of the super kick. The going into the corner and the stomp.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, that really, that fucking worked the crowd into a lather,
And, that's the thing. He let the people in the upper arena see the same thing the people down front were seeing. And that's the whole thing. He was so over that way, too, just pantomiming that, hey, this is what's coming, boom, boom. And that's part of your timing, too. If you're in there getting ready to take after Shawn Michaels and you hear that stomp, boom, 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 it's time to be off your knees and up and either walking into it, turning into it, spinning away from it, whatever it is to where you're going to take it. So, yes, good points. Now, you got down here, ruined by the Young Bucks.
Yes.
So that was part of the thing about, no selling and stuff. After 1 or 2, so now you're up to 3, 4, 5, 6. That's just a bunch of bullshit.
They'll pull out like easily a dozen in a match.
Yeah.
And sometimes they'll both kick a guy in the face or the head at the same time. One of the things I do like that it's developed into is they use a super kick as a body shot sometime, which I think that's perfectly fine to repeat. It's just a strong, side kick.
Yeah.
That's fine. But yeah, you crack somebody under the jaw, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
Yeah.
Fuck off, man.
That's more like a jab, in boxing. You're just putting it out there, feeling a guy out. That would be okay if you're fucking shooting a Bruce Lee movie and you're just kind of back the guy up, throwing some super kicks, back, just backing him up to feel him out. But that shit there doesn't work when they're actually landing them, and a person's pretty much no-selling them, or they're not getting hurt from it, whatever it is. Then why fucking do it?
Yeah. Again, what I liked about the super kick is that it's a perfect heel finish.
Yeah.
Comes out of nowhere and fucking cracks somebody. I mean, you could have Chris Adams losing and then just get a lucky shot in. Bam.
Yeah.
Lights out.
That's the move that I've talked about before. If you got something you can do on someone small, medium, or large, no matter how big your opponent is, if you got that finish that come out of nowhere that you can pull off doing it to a guy being size, it's a much better, easier way to go over as a finish because you can pull it out of nowhere.
Mm-hmm.
There's no lifting required, you just got to be able to get your leg up in the air to the height that, you're going to kick the guy on the chin or whatever. But, it's a pretty good move. But after about I'm a no-sell to Bucks anyway. I don't know them. I'm glad they learned how to market because that's one thing they did. They learned how to market themselves.
Yep.
They're in with a big group now, and that's good. That's what your goal is as a wrestler, is to get you a contract and make money. So I'm not going to knock that.
Right. They got themselves over,
Yeah, they learned to get over that. But fuck it, I'm not selling a super kick for them. I'm sorry. Send that shit somewhere else, pal. Yeah. Wrong address. Take it back.
Return to sender.
Right. That's right. What we got next? I just did a super kick. You're up on the next one.
All right. The next one is going to be the hammerlock. Yes. Ed Lewis, Bruno Sammartino, and then, of course, George Steele used a flying hammerlock as a finish.
Yeah. And now it's the transition, of course. You can go headlock, switch, hammerlock, back to the headlock. You know, there's so many. And if I've trained anyone out there that's listening, they know what I'm talking about. I just tell them I headlock, switch, hammerlock. If I'm touching you, I don't have to talk because I know I'm going to grab you by the head. I'm going to switch it to the other side. I'm going to reach behind you. I'm going to feel you out for a hammerlock. I'm going to lock it on for a second, let that go, come right back to headlock, and then I might be off hitting the ropes on you or whatever, you know, just depending on how energetic. And not me today. I'm just saying, just in talking to people. But that hammerlock, you can go from a hammerlock to a drop toe hold to a single leg takedown. There's so much stuff that once you get the guy down, you can hold him down on the mat with that hammerlock.
Oh, yeah.
You see guys use their feet. Bob Eaton was good on when a guy got down had him in a hammerlock, he'd lock his legs around the Bobby Fulton did this a lot too. Get you in a hammerlock on your stomach on the mat, and they lock their feet around to where they have you in a hammerlock on the mat. You're face down, they're standing up, and they would take a back bump, boom, and it put more pressure on your shoulder and elbow joints. Looked real nice, felt real tight. But yeah, that hammerlock, and also you can manipulate someone with that hold. You know, if you have to escort someone out quickly somewhere, if you grab the person the right way and jerk them by the elbow with one hand and jerk their wrist with the other, you can make a person pretty much move the direction you want to go. Towards the door, exit, or whatever, or get the hell out of the way, whatever. I saw Sandy Scott. We were at the National Guard Armory, and I was wrestling Buddy Landell in a main event. And I think I told you the story where Buddy hit the guy. The guy came out of the seat. He was giving Buddy hell the whole time in the front row, and Buddy stuck his head out and took a swipe at him. Well, he caught him, and barely caught Buddy across the face. And Buddy dropped off the ring apron and went to punch him. He caught him, but not full thrust. But he caught him just enough on the chin that the guy went down, and he went off fours. When he did, Buddy backed up about 2 steps, and I was yelling the whole time. The place was going crazy, but I was yelling like, "Buddy, get the fuck in," you know. And man, he punted that guy right in the gut. I mean, it was like a dog down on all fours, and Buddy just punted that motherfucker. Well, as soon as that happened, man, what was almost funnier than that, fucking Sandy Scott scooped in with a hammerlock, and he had him from the front row of that ringside out the front door in about 2 seconds, and it was about probably a good 50 or 60 feet away to the front door, and Sandy kept that guy after I won't say the punch, it didn't even stagger him too much, but the kick knocked his guts out. And then Sandy had a shoot hammerlock. That guy had no idea. He went out the building. I'm sure he's like, what the fuck just happened to me? I was enjoying matches at one point. Now I'm out here in fucking middle of Lexington Avenue. But it was funny. But he shouldn't have took the swing at Buddy anyway. But that hammerlock is very effective, like I said, especially for a short amount of time when you grab someone quickly, crank that wrist, crank their shoulder joint, and move forward with them to where you want them to go. So credit to Sandy Scott for getting someone out of the building one day. That's pretty good. So, all right, man. Any more hammerlock stories?
Well, George Steele always amazes the shit out of me that, when you see like an interview with George Steele, thoughtful, soft-spoken, kind of just like a cool, easygoing dude, high school teacher, and he wrestled in the next town over so his students wouldn't see him. How do you do a whole career like that,
Yeah, I told you about the guy in Tampa. Ted Webb used to do the wrestling down in Tampa for the WFLA radio down there. And he was on my brother and I was living in Florida, living life, and it was pretty cool. We listened to these different radio programs, and WWE would come to town. Of course, after the time, that's, like getting spots, on the biggest AM/FM station was, and it had a TV station too, WFLA. And Ted was he had done an interview with George Steele earlier that day, but he said, I remember the first time I saw George Steele in the back, and he said he was smoking a cigarette, had a green tongue and come up to me and said, "Ted, how are you?" He said, I thought Santa Claus was, he said, it was like exposing Santa Claus, and he's on there telling a story, a couple years later, like, it was like Santa Claus being exposed to me, man. It was like he just out of character sitting there, smoking on a fucking lung dart and just, green tongue and all. "Ted, how are you?"
That's funny.
Oh, man, yeah. All right, let's move on to the power bomb.
The power bomb. Now, I'm shocked that this name hasn't come up more, because this man invented a shit ton of wrestling holds and moves. Lou Thesz is credited with creating the power bomb.
Yeah.
Sometime in the 1950s. Now, I come across the fact that they say, where it just says Lou Thesz created the power bomb. But I've yet to come across a story where they say Lou Thesz threw the first power bomb on this night on this person in 1950, whatever, But
go ahead.
I was going to say, but Lou Thesz, I mean, honestly, if you look at a lot of these holds, and hey, who created that move? I would say that you spit out two names, you're going to be right 70% of the time. You say Gotch or you say Thesz. Yeah.
I know Thesz. He did that Roman, basically a belly to back suplex, with the Russian. You grab him he'd just do a higher version of a belly to back suplex. He'd drop you real high, and I know he got some heat for that sometimes, because some guys were saying back in the day that he wasn't protecting him. He dropped him so high, kind of spike him.
Yeah.
But it's a good Roman Greco technique. What I was getting, that's what it was. And you grab a guy around the waist from a headlock position. Someone had Thesz in the headlock. He'd grab him around the waist, lift him up, shoot up on him, and then bridge, take him back. So apparently, what I would think happened is he went for something, and you say, "Gosh, the same thing." Someone's tried to get away while they're going up, and he spun him around probably.
Okay.
And then dropped them, flat, instead of on their side, to his side rather. They dropped more out in front of him. So at some point, someone's probably tried to wiggle up away from it, and he's twisted his body as the other guy twisted his. That's just my take. From there, I would imagine some young Japanese guy saw that, and said, "Oh, power bomb," and kept it in his memory. And no facts on this, just saying. Some young guys probably watched Thesz and was like, "I remember he done this move one time, and this is the way it was done,"
Mm-hmm.
And they started incorporating it into the training or into, into an actual match. This is, the guy's going to bend over in front of me for a backdrop or something. I'm going to reach down, grab him around the waist, pick him up as high as I can over my head, and drop him down, and we'll call it a power bomb, Again, I don't know that fact. I know the first time I really started hearing about it a lot was when I was training and stuff, because I had the old Japanese magazines then, and I'd see pictures, and then also we got video, and the video was All Japan, and had, Terry Gordy just destroying guys, prior to his injury. He was just in there, just fucking destroying these guys, power bombs after power bombs, because it had Steve Williams doing stuff, it had Gordy doing stuff, and then it had something we're going to talk about a little bit later on here doing stuff with the lariat, So it was just one of those tapes that just highlighted the Americans, and Gordy was just killing these guys with the power bombs, So anyway, the power bomb, people nowadays kick out of it.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. I'll tell you this. When I was in Japan, I know you're saying people out there, you're like, "Bobby, you're an old fart," Well, that's all right. You could also say, let me tell you something. It was 26 years ago, February, that I beat Lawler for the heavyweight championship and defended against Blandell. And those are all good memories. And like Malenko used to tell me, though, nothing's older than yesterday's newspaper. Well, I'm not here trying to spread yesterday's newspaper. I'm trying to preserve professional wrestling, kind of in a way. The professor and myself are. So where I was going with that is when I was in Japan, and I was wrestling Jinsei Hakushi in the semi-main events. If I wasn't with Sasuke in a main event, you'd work several days, and I'd beat these Japanese boys up, boom, bada, boom, bada, boom. They'd tell me, give them one spot, give them 5 minutes, eat them up, or whatever. And then I'd work against one of the top tier guys, and Jinsei would powerbomb me. 1, 2, 3, okay? Did that a couple times in a couple different towns. Now, I didn't kick out, but because they had plans for me. So I would take the power bomb, 1, 2, 3, and lay there, okay? But then there was more to the match. The next time we was in that same town or in a bigger town, and they wanted 2 or 3 minutes more to the match. So what I would do, I would kick out of it at the last second. But the way I would kick, I'd automatically rotate my body because he was letting off of me, okay? And he immediately put me into pretty much a reverse camel clutch. But he'd grab my wrist, grab both my wrists, and then sit on my lower back and arch up for an automatic submission. See? So it meant something. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
It extended the match. I got smart enough or tough enough or whatever you want to say to kick out of it, but he was one step ahead of me once again to grab both wrists and put me into that, like I said, basically a camel clutch with my hands across my chest and, give the old ref the bat of the eye, like, tapping out or whatever. You're tapping his hands and waiting for the, bell to ring. But so that said, we already worked 10 or 12, 13 minutes. Now we're going to take it out to 15 minutes, and because people just last week or 2 weeks before that, depending on where you're at on that part of the tour, he hooked the power bomb. That's what we saw last week. Oh, he kicked out. It meant something. I didn't kick out, though, and jump right back up and fucking start doing drop kick, tip tosses, and fucking going out and buying popcorn. I stayed right there basically in the middle of the ring. I mentioned it. We'll talk about my books later on, but we were somewhere, small town, man, over in Japan, and just say Teddyson was the referee. Teddy, it's called him Teddy-san. And Jinsei picked me up for the power bomb, and I wasn't supposed to kick out. It was supposed to be the finish. I go up for him. He plants me. Teddy comes down. 1, 2. I just let out a big ass fart. Jinsei had his head right between my legs, where he come down for the pin, and he fucking rolled off of me, and Teddy dropped his face down to the mat, and what I'm doing, I'm putting my hand like you're coughing into your elbow, like you sneeze or coughing into your elbow like you're telling everyone to do now. Teddy's son just put his face flat on the ground and had his face basic in his elbow cracking up in the ring. And Jinsei popped up off the mat. Well, I snickered, man, because I didn't know whether to shit, shower, shave, no blind or what. But I knew we had to get the finish in there, right? Because I only took the 2 count. But it knocked the gas out of me. So I laid there for a second, spun away from Teddy, and watched where Jinsei was at. That's another good thing that I was always good at, and that is keep my eye on my opponent wherever he's at. And I saw him give me the office, He was coming to me. I reached my hands up over my head like I was going to axe handle him. Gives me a boot to the gut, nice and easy. Picks me up nice and easy. Power bomb, nice and easy. And Teddy just reached over 1, 2, 3. So we got through it, but we had a good laugh about it too. So, shoot, hey, talk about wearing a mask. I should have a mask on right now. I just spit all over this screen thing. What do you call it for your microphone? My spit catcher. I get a little bit excited there, man. Sorry, I was giving you the weather, not the news, So yeah, I got excited about the power bomb. Okay, don't kick out unless you're supposed to. What we got next, Jeremy?
Yeah, it's the long and the short of that one. Okay, so this one. Surprisingly, there's a little controversy around this guy here. This is the DDT. Now, I do want to say, I saw Buddy Rose use this maybe first, really? but they called it a small pile driver.
Okay.
Now,
interesting.
Yeah. Now, I would actually have to check the dates to know for sure. But it may have just been one of those things where that's what I saw first. but it was already being used by Jake Roberts. But that being said, what does Ron Starr have to say about the DDT?
Oh, well, okay. So we know that Jake's version is with the grappler, and they were, 30 minutes into a match and too tired to go on. He slipped across the rope or something and dropped him, right?
Yep.
Everyone knows that, heard that. Ron Starr, now again, Ron Starr's passed away. Ron Starr is a pretty good guy to me, I have to say. He booked me up there in Canada, that first year up there. And he had worked out in Kansas City, and he was about Jake's age, I think a couple years older. And he said that he taught Jake the DDT. Now, he could be just a guy. And when I met Ron, he's in his 40s. He could have been just a guy in his 40s telling a couple young wrestlers like myself, my tag team partner Rico, and Robert the Arcadian Giant, and Soaring Eagle, and some of the guys that were in the dressing room, just to impress the young boys,
Yeah.
He could have been just fucking around, but he could have also been talking about how he used it in Kansas City area, and something about Jake started using it, and they let Jake continue to use it. But he was the one, doing it first. Now, that could be said by anything. You know what I'm saying? Again, he could have just been ribbing us, but in his mind, he could have been telling us the truth. I don't know. I just know he said he was using it, and he did it very effectively. Ron had a hell of a DDT. I saw him in Canada using it. I saw him over in South Africa using it. It was very effective. He didn't set it up with the short clothesline too often. He did it out of a wrestling spot, and he'd get you. And he made it look good. I'll say that. Manny Fernandez made it look good. He would do it he called it Power Bull. He would do it off the second rope.
Yeah.
Second rope DDT.
Manny, there's a guy who doesn't get a lot of credit. Orange DDT was fucking awesome.
Yes, absolutely. So there's a lot of them out there, but I guess we come up with Black Gorman from Mexico coming up with it in the 1970s. That's been the latest controversy, I think. Is that right? Who's finally gotten credit? Someone put up some video that Black Gorman was doing it down in Mexico in the 70s.
I believe
we get credit to.
Yeah, I believe that's where they're pointing it to now. Look, I'm sure the DDT was invented multiple times by multiple people who didn't see it. Because it's a killer move, and it's the nice thing about it is it's simple. It's once you got your flow down, you get somebody in a fucking chancery and boom, one shot, one kill, it's done, I think one of my favorites though has gotta be Foley or Cactus Jack's chicken wing DDT, where he'd arm them, and that looked nasty.
Yeah, it looked dangerous too.
Yeah.
But I think you can go back to what you said about Michaels popularizing the super kick. Same thing with Jake. Jake superized this, the DDT. He popularized it rather.
Yeah.
Popularized it. Again, like you said, Ron Starr, who'd you say? Big Blonde, Buddy Rose. Other people have used it, but I think that's the deal. Jake probably, again, it's all the eyeballs on TV at that in WWF at the time when they reached that peak of, Saturday night main events.
Yeah.
Pay-per-views, and you're hitting that many people, and no one else on the show can do this spot. So when he did it, it meant something, So that's probably, the best bet that most people can go with.
Oh, yeah.
And I, there's no disputing that it probably did happen the way he said it, for him. Now, when he's talking about, I think, what's his name, Lynn Denton, the grappler, I think they were going like 27, 30 minutes or something. They was tired. He slipped, and he did it that way, and it just looked really nasty. And, felt good, and they stuck with it, So it could have easily happened that way too. But other people have done it, like you said. Arn had a really good one. I appreciate that. That's a pretty damn good one.
Yeah, Arn. Well, Arn had a couple of things that he could deliver like nobody's fucking business.
Yeah.
The DDT and the Spine Buster are probably the two that you see his, and you're just like, nobody else should really be using those moves except Jake Roberts' DDT looked like a killer.
Yeah.
Okay, let's keep moving here and
Yep.
talk about the Power Slam. Okay, so I think of the British Bulldog and Dr. Death when I think of a Power Slam.
Yeah.
They just big, powerful guys. There's that clip
Yeah.
on Twitter of what is it? Somebody backdrops somebody, and then Steve Williams catches them in the air in a gorilla press.
Yeah.
That
with the midnight. I
Yeah,
think.
holy
He's dealing with the
shit.
midnight
Yeah.
press. Yes, they midnight backdropped him. He caught him, pressed him, and power slammed him. Yeah, pretty impressive.
Yeah.
But I
that's
added Buzz Sawyer to this group.
I did see that, and you know what? That is my mistake for leaving him out, probably.
He did that real quick one, snap one.
Yeah.
Out of nowhere. And he'd get real low on a guy and spin him over, almost like Randy Orton does his really fast. That's one of the things that Buzz did. He did his really fast, but I think most people can go with what you said, British Bulldog, or again, probably overall Doc Williams. That's probably, now did he invent it? No, but by God, he probably the one that when you did it, you're not kicking out of it.
No.
Out of all the people, now you're not kicking out of Buzzes, and you're probably not kicking out of Bulldogs. If you're kicking out of Bulldogs, it may have made sense if they're in a program with someone, or they're letting someone break it up. Come in and give them a boot to the back of the head. Get the not clean break, obviously, I'm sorry, but get the break to move the match along.
Yeah.
But on Buzz Sawyer, when he done it, was a finish, and when Doc Williams done it, that's the finish. Unless he's just going to get up and not pin him, so he can go and tag Gordy, and Gordy can power drive him, or he can tag Stan and let Stan do his thing with him. So pretty much, though, that's just more punishment on top of punishment. The guy'd probably rather lay there and take the power slam and get pinned.
Yeah.
After the football tackle.
Yeah,
So,
just put me out of my misery. Let's just
Yeah.
let's just end this, please.
So let's do something here real quick. Let's go to the very bottom there.
Okay.
Boston Crab, because I know we'd have a lot to say with that. Is that okay?
Yeah, that's fine.
We jump down to that, and then we'll come back with the work our way back up that way, if that's okay.
Yeah,
them two. I'll see you see my cursors at, but those two there, we got a lot to talk about, it looks like, before my books. But anyway, yeah, Boston Crab, what do you think about that? That's a lot of pressure on your lower back.
Yeah, the Boston Crab is a move that should be a finish. I mean, there's no reason that move is not. Even a half crab,
Yeah.
That's a lot of pressure if it's applied correctly and it looks right. The back, you can even affect the neck, the ankle, and the knee. I mean, you usually see that almost like a transition, like okay, let's hold this for a minute, and we're going to take a breath, and then okay, then I'm going to get a hold of your ankle, and then we're going to roll out, and then we're going to go back to whatever,
I saw a lot of guys tapped out shoot style on Sundays with this single leg crab in Tampa. If a guy got him down in the right position doing a shoot style, and he hooked that hip, you put that pressure on a guy's hip like that, and set down on it legit with an ankle lock, you can make it. Now when I can't say I know this, I wrestled The Rock's dad, Soul Man Rocky Johnson, outside of Tampa in about 1992 in an I Quit match at a roller rink. And that's what he put me in, something simple and easy. And I think that's probably the first and last time I only tapped out to the Boston Crab. Again, I didn't tap out. I actually quit. So same thing, what have you. But now when I got to Smoky Mountain, Candido and I would use that. He could sink it in pretty deep because I had a good bridge and I was in really good shape, and he could hook it in deep enough that we could get a rest spot out of it. A lot of times it's a little bit stiff, but again, you're in the work and the adrenaline's going, and then I would eventually crawl. He'd walk me, crab walk me basically, and I'd either get to a rope or get enough strength up to do a half a push up, and he'd take a bump depending on where we were at, what we were doing, what kind of offense he gave me as far as I could tell how he was, if he was walking me backwards or if he was twisting me one way or the other. Am I going to go forward or am I going to twist out when I do a push up? So again though, legitimately, shouldn't at that time, it wasn't, it's early 90s, it wasn't a finish then, but at one time it had been a finish, with that name like that, the Boston. Oh my God, he's got him in a Boston Crab, he's ripping his guts out and he's tearing down his lumbar region of his back, he's going to tap out any minute now. That's the way it should be.
Yeah, yeah.
So we just didn't have. I don't know of anyone that we could place it on. I didn't see anyone or find one that said, Johnny Smith from Boston, is the one who invented the Boston crab. I don't, you know what I'm saying? So
yeah,
if someone wants to send that in, send it in. Let us know who you heard it from, or maybe someone that you done it to, or someone done it to you. Tell us a funny story.
Well,
okay, Jeremy,
hold on. This can't. There's no way this
got?
Can be right. Ricky Choshu invented the Boston crab. No, I'm not. No,
I'm not buying that.
I'm not buying it.
That's why you gotta that Wikipedia. Sometimes you gotta let that stuff. Like I looked up something and they actually had the guy that asked the question and had his name in the article. He invented it, and I was like, wait a minute, I just read this. He just asked a question. It was a Japanese name, and I was like, I think someone's trying to give him credit, like when he edited it himself or something,
Yeah.
Like one of his buddies went in and ribbed him and said, hey Jeremy, if you edit this on Wikipedia, I'm gonna go back in and edit on top of you. And I put, Jeremy invented it. So I don't think Koshu. I think as long that thing, the Boston crab's been around since at least the 50s, and hell, they shot it in the Beverly Hillbillies. Probably and the Munsters.
I want to say I saw a Boston crab in a late 40s Bugs Bunny cartoon.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
Hell, that makes sense. We'll give credit to fucking Bugs Bunny.
There we go. Bugs Bunny invented the Boston crab.
Yeah.
Well, then it'd be called the Albuquerque crab, wouldn't it?
There you go. Take off. I knew I should take that left at Albuquerque.
Oh, man. All right.
Okay. Let's go to the airplane spin next. How about that?
All right. Let's go to the airplane spin.
Gorilla Monsoon. That's what you told me, right?
Did
you say I told you? How did that go?
Hold on, because I was talking about putting the giant swing in here, and that's a Gorilla Monsoon move. But we're going to do some on the spot investigation here, Bobby.
Because I thought I knew that Gorilla Monsoon did the airplane spin with Muhammad Ali. They did the build up there, and he done it. For that big pop with Ali. Ali took his shoes off and started shuffling around. Gorilla hooked him, picks him up in an airplane spin, and then spun him around the ring there for the Inoki Ali fight back in '76. But I wasn't sure how much Monsoon had used the airplane spin prior to that.
A lot.
Was he the only one I was getting at? Yeah.
The thing I found says that it was made famous by Hall of Famer Gorilla Monsoon.
Yeah, so he uses that, but I'm saying was he the first that used it as a finish, or was anyone else ever using that before that? Or is that one of the ones you saw on the, again, same thing when the fucking Beverly Hillbillies, Granny, out there swinging, her and Ellie Mae tag team against someone and swinging around by their ponytails, I don't know. That's probably been around for a while, the airplane spin.
Hold on. Let's see. What do I...
Gorilla Monsoon, right?
Let's see. The Fokker spins. No, that's an actual airplane.
Okay.
No. Shit, Bobby. I don't see it. I'm going to have to say it probably developed in the 30s when the era of guys like Gotch was over. I'm going to imagine that was one of the first ones because it was a lift move. You pull a guy up, and that's going to just excite the shit out of the crowd. Just any motion that's upwards instead of two guys laying on the ground for 2.5 hours. And then it just, probably looked amazing back then. Oh my God, that guy's going to be dizzy and he's going to throw up when he sets him down.
Yeah.
That's my guess, but I don't see anything to back it up.
Well, we'll go with Gorilla Monsoon for now because that was the one that popularized it. Mm-hmm. And maybe I'll put that in my next book. We'll have these top 10 wrestling moves that I put in my second book. I put in my favorite, my wrestling, moves and I put the top of it, was the pile driver. We already spoke about that. So speaking of books, maybe we'll put a story in the third book here coming. And I don't know what time frame that's going to be. I think I'm going to actually have some typing done tomorrow and this week per an agreement with a friend of mine. We'll just have to see. But I'm going to go ahead and plug those books right now.
Mm-hmm.
The first one is Pin Me, Pay Me, Have Boots Will Travel. The professor gives you an easy way to get to that book. If you want to purchase it, you go to tinyurl.com/blazebook1. It'll take you right to the Amazon site. It helps our affiliate account with Amazon. We get a few cents kicked back to us, and hopefully we can do something with that one day. So anyway, my books are all available on Amazon, but use these sites. Anytime you're using something on Amazon, just, if you use this site here, the show gets kicked back. It's tinyurl.com/blazebook1. My second book, I kicked out on 2, The Educational Wrestler. If you'd like to get that book, once again, easy gateway to get there, and that is tinyurl.com/blazebook2. I'd appreciate it very much. It'd put a smile on my face. Professor hopefully gets a little bit of money into his affiliate account, and we sell a book or 2, and that's what helps this show keep going, and we appreciate it. And also, I appreciate any reviews. The professor and I appreciate reviews on, iTunes, Spotify, and all that for our program here. And also, I appreciate fair and honest views on my book. So I just leave a rating. I appreciate that if you read it. Tell a friend about it. Also, retweet our show, man. Anytime we're out there, tweeting about, this week's episode, do that for us, man. It's a big help. It's more than you know. And I've seen people just in watching several podcasts this last week, and listening to a couple I got caught up on. I see people out here, a lot of people helping each other out in the podcast world. And that's what it takes, man. And I see it on my Twitter with the authors. There's a hashtag AHA, authors helping authors. So, just do it for a friend, retweet it for Professor or for myself. But again, tinyurl.com/blazebook1 will get you Pin Me, Pay Me. tinyurl.com/blazebook2 will get you I Kicked Out on 2, The Educational Wrestler. Thank you very much. And we got some more work to do here. We got about 3 more, I think, Jeremy.
Yep.
2 more.
I wanted to throw this out real quick, though, just because I had it in mind and in front of my eyes now. Jim Londos used an airplane spin.
Okay.
If that gives you some idea of the time. Dominic DiNucci used it, and so did Joe Blanchard.
Okay.
So that means
a little bit off the subject.
40s, but yeah.
Yeah. Back to the books real quick. We done an episode on the books. A lot of good feedback on that. Let me say something, people. I don't know if I mentioned it last week or not. There's a lot of good wrestling books out there. Jeremy and I talked about, just because we haven't read them or didn't recommend them. I know there's a couple out there right now. Tim Hornbuckler has a couple. Mm-hmm. One was on Nature Boy, I've heard is really great, and the other one is on Andre, Eighth Wonder of the World. Not sure who wrote that one, but man, I hear really good things about both of those books. So, we just kind of gave you some recommendations of stuff we had read and enjoyed. But there's a lot of good wrestling books out there right now. So I kind of got sidetracked. I wanted to, kind of like the Mullet thing, wanted to, notify my notes. So we got 2 more big moves here that used to be finishes that people just used nowadays to move into another spot. And I'm going to go with which I thought this move was always beautiful, and that is the Russian leg sweep, man. I really like that. I used it as a transition spot, and I'll tell you why. Because Brad Armstrong done this move, in my opinion, better than anyone. He would stop, he would hook the guy legit, go back on his back, float over for the pin. It looked beautiful, that Russian leg sweep. Now, when I was in Canada, Ron said, Bobby, let the guy go for a backdrop. When he bends over, you thump him across the upper back or give him a stiff forearm from underneath, if you can come off your knee to that. Then go into the leg sweep. There's your heat spot. That's where you start getting your heat. Yes, sir. Do it. But Brad done it better than anyone, I think. And the only one closest to that, but again, he probably popularized it, Bret Hart. What do you think?
I think Bret Hart, yeah, he's the guy I think of automatically when I hear Russian leg sweep. But yeah, Brad Armstrong, I mean, hell of a, you know what? He was fucking good at everything he did.
Yeah.
He's one of those guys that, needs to be pointed out a lot more. But
Yeah.
Bret Hart's who I think of, and of course Bret Hart, besides bitching and complaining all the time, was, well, the excellence of execution. He could pull a move off better. I mean, you give him a move that he does, and his looks better than anybody's.
Yeah, you're right. He
Yeah.
does, man. Yeah, he tremendous in-ring performer, man. I mean, you know, it's just excellent of execution.
Yeah.
Execution of excellence, rather. I mean, that's pretty damn. That's fair. It's a fair assessment.
I think so.
You know?
I think absolutely
Yeah.
it is. Yeah.
And anyway, I like that Russian leg sweep. Those two come to mind. I've used it. I'm not sure who else used it. I've seen it used, but it's just not coming to mind of anyone. Really, those two, as far as mainstream TV, used it a lot more than anyone else I've ever seen. Now, I don't see a lot of people using it, even on the indies, but I have seen people use it as a transition. And I'm okay with that because you know, like I said, bigger, faster, stronger athletes. And if you got more moves and are capable of following up with something, if you just kick out of it to be kicking out of it, no, you know, take the damn finish. So we got one big move left, Jeremy.
Oh, this is one of my absolute favorites. I could watch this move pretty much all day long when it's done well, and I can argue with people about if it should be a finish or not. 'Cause I am 100% on clotheslines and lariats are finishes, and they should not be thrown about fucking willy-nilly in a match. And you want to argue with that? I'll have you go talk to Stan fucking Hansen about it.
Well, I got someone else you can talk to about that invented the lariat.
Mm-hmm.
Native Americans invented the lariat.
Was that for like horseback wrestling?
Well, the rope, you know.
Yeah.
Okay, just get that straight. Let's get some credit.
Well,
there.
some of those horse tribes they wrestled from horseback, you know.
Oh yeah, no,
and
they learned the Comanches learned to fucking shoot arrows off the horses going full speed, man. That's how they owned Texas forever, you know.
Oh yeah.
No, I was just putting that over to the lariat, you know. I don't know how Stan got that name, like, because he carried that bull rope, you know. But when he rolled that big old elbow brace up one or his pad, you know, when he come and hit you with that,
Jesus
it was coming.
Christ.
I don't like a clothesline. Just in a match, you give a guy a clothesline. I like to see a lariat. You know, like when you're coming across through there, and he hit you. You know what I'm saying? Take your damn head off, hit you. No one should be kicking out of that.
No.
And if you watch anything he done from Japan, those Japanese guys did not get up from that. There was very little transition. Again, it goes to like this: if Stan did that, and something were to take place, there's probably someone else jumping in the ring, and then that being followed up with someone like Doc or Gordy coming in and doing one of their, either a power bomb or a power slam, you know. So it might have been a combination of things, but it meant something. No one was getting up out of one of those three things there, you know. And Stan, when he gave it, you know, he gave it. He, you know, those you just had to take it, basically. You know, he's legally blind. I've heard Malenko's tell me, you know, how many times they just, you know, when Stan goes to do the lariat, it's just something you fucking take. You just got to get used to it, you know. So Bradshaw done the clothesline from hell. Yeah, that looked really good, looked impressive, and he kept it towards the end of the match. That's the main thing on that one there too. No one was just doing a clothesline and then getting back up from it, you know. And that's why I appreciated that on Bradshaw, him actually doing it, you know. After that, trying to think who comes to mind that done a really nice clothesline. I don't know, like, you know, sometimes this is not a dig on this guy because I think we're both big fans of him. Was like Barry Windham would sometimes do that running jump and put his arm up and throw his clothesline out and just kind of keep on spinning. I think Barry did it that way. A couple other guys did. They did more or less just a clothesline, like you're running across the ring and hit a guy. You know, of course, the Ultimate Warrior had the worst. That was the drizzly shits of, you know, putting his arm out and standing there, expect a guy to run into it or something. So I think there's a big distinction between what's a clothesline and what's a lariat, and the lariat is staying the man Hansen. And I don't think anyone should be kicking out of that. So it's a finish in my mind.
Yeah, and, you know, I see where even as I was like getting ready for this episode, I've argued with people, oh, that's not a clothesline, that's a lariat. You know what? I don't care how fucking finely you slice the hair. They're the same fucking thing. I was reading this thing like, oh, a clothesline, you're straight armed. Lariat, you have your arm crooked. Jesus Christ, dude, you're taking your arm and you're slamming a dude somewhere between the chin and the throat. I don't care if they're running, if you're running, if you're swinging, that's the same move, Yeah. But, you go and you watch Stan Hansen's lariat, JBL's clothesline from hell. There's this girl I follow on Twitter and through the indies, Sarah Rebel, I think is the name she's under now. But she's got a move she calls the clothesline from heck. And it just looks like she pops dude's head, or this chick's head off when she hits it, I think that's a killer move, and it should be a knockout shot. It should be right there with a super kick.
Well, if it comes from Stan, it is a knockout shot.
Yeah.
Okay, let's go back real quickly here. Do you have one of these moves here as your favorite that you wish was still a finish or anything?
Super kick.
I think you may have you like that as a finish?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I was going to say, the super kick would be number one just because of my long-standing hatred for what's been done to it. But I think the clothesline / lariat should always be used for finish and not used mid-match.
Right. Yeah. I agree with that. I like that Russian leg sweep a lot. I think it's very pretty. I wish it were a finish, but I think it's if you do it right, like I said, if a transitional move, the way either Brett or Brad, floated over, went for the pin 1-2, or transitioned to another move. I think that I like that. I can accept that one. Okay. I don't know, man. That DDT looks wicked. No matter who we talked about doing it. I mean, we even threw Manny's name in there. Hell. I would say for me, probably because of my time frame, the power bomb, because I saw it when it was a finish. When I was coming into the business, it was a finish. And I knew it was used as a finish. And then through time, I started seeing people, turn it into a hurricanrana or something else, or take one and kick out on one, just stuff like that. So I would say I would go with I wish the power bomb, when the guy picks you up like that and drops you like that, and hopefully takes care of you, then it's to me that would be that would be cool for me if it was still a finish. So anyway, what are we going to wrap up with here, Professor? Anything?
No, I got nothing, Bobby.
All right, man. Well, I think we've got episode 104 in the can here. Had some good episodes. I hope you and the Silver Scorpion are now back on a regular deal here, so we can keep on recording these. I hope people like the one I did solo. I tried my best. I think this one here come out real good. I hope it does. Anyway, I knew we would have fun with it, so I think we did. I don't know, man. Stay safe out there is it, people.
Yep. Those of you in states that are opening up, I hope everything goes well. I can't wait till the rest of us can join you, because I am sick of this being stuck in the house horseshit. Let's see here. The NWA is coming back. Osama bin Laden is dead. The NWA lives, so it's an exciting time to be alive. Did I miss anything?
Waka flocka.
That's it. All right. For the late Tex Johnson, for myself, Jeremy Vilmur, and for Arn Anderson's favorite enhancement talent, Bobby Blaze. Bye-bye, everybody.